He's like walking around, listening to the sounds, listening to the traffic, touching the ground, people were saying. And they're
seemingly not listening.
Yeah. And they're just like, what the is he doing? And David Fincher comes up and he's like, I don't think the murder happened over here. I think it happened over there.
Yeah, not to be rude, but this isn't the spot.
Yeah. And the detective's like, oh my God, you're right.
What do you know about two certified bankers? PhantasmaCast.
And we're back with PhantasmaCast, the podcast where we watch our favorite movies two at a time.
And you should too.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Derek.
Derek, you had a friendly reminder for our audience.
Yes, friendly reminder. Subscribe right now. Go do it, please. It's the best way to stay up to date with the show, get new episodes as they drop, and it'll make us feel better. Don't you want both of those things? We want it for you, so do us a solid. Do yourself a solid and do us a solid. Do it for us.
Make us feel good, please. Okay, so today we're talking about a pair of auteur procedurals, 2003's Memories of Murder and 2007's Zodiac.
Yeah, some would say the best in their class.
Yes.
And by some, I mean us.
Let's open it up with a couple of questions. We have cue cards. We have these great cue cards. Derek, you take one.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, at this moment, which of these two movies would you say is your favorite and why?
Okay. Memories of Murder has got to be my favorite. I am biased, though, because this movie really came onto my radar when I started recognizing that Korean cinema was a thing.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
In film school. And I think, like many millennials of my time, Old Boy was like the first one I saw.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I got to see more of that. But that was more of a stylized adaptation of a manga. And this is a like dramatization of a true crime event by two completely different directors. You know, we got Park Chan-wook for Old Boy and we got Bong Joon Ho for Memories of Murder. But they instantly made me fans, and I said, I gotta eat up all of their works. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I don't know. I definitely watched Zodiac first because it's an American film and it was more readily available. But like in my heart of hearts, I have to say probably also Memories of Murder.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were gonna pick Zodiac.
It's like Zodiac is cool. But
for sure.
Memories of Murder, I don't know. There's even though it's this movie about a very dark subject, Bong Joon Ho, there's like and not that Zodiac doesn't also do this, but there's like a warmth to it also, and there's a humanity and there's like a humor to it as well, you know? And it's like, and then on the flip side, it's also kind of feels more like a horror movie than Zodiac does.
Right. I see what you mean. Not that Zodiac can't be funny, because now that I've watched it a few more times, there is a lot of humor in it. And I think that is like a kind of an unfair criticism levied at David Fincher overall, is that he's kind of humorless. I don't know. I think he's just got a dry sense of humor.
Yeah, it's very dry. Yeah, like when he Jake Gyllenhaal comes in and he's like, doesn't it ever bother you that people call you Shorty? And then he's like, does it ever bother you that people call you R-word?
Yeah.
And then he goes and asks Robert Downey Jr., do people ever call me names? And he's like
R-word?
No. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. Memories of Murder, it's just for me, it's just like, if you were like, which one should we put on? We can only pick one. I would probably pick Memories of Murder because it's just a better time, you know?
Yeah. So I think this is a good point for us to say like content warning for this episode, because it deals with heavy subject matter like sexual assault, murder. So if that's
real ones that actually happen.
Real ones. Yes. Yeah. Not fictitious ones. So if that's like something you just don't want to subject yourself to, then by all means, tune out of this episode and we'll see you again on the next one.
The true crime heads are staying, though.
Yeah.
I know they want to see this.
Okay, I'll do my card now.
Yeah.
How about that? Okay, this one says, is there a film made by either director that you still need to see? Are there any that deserve more attention than you feel it got? Anything overrated?
Oh, man. What have I not seen by Fincher?
I'll tell you, the only one I haven't seen, actually, is Mank.
Mank.
It's the one with Gary Oldman where he plays like the screenwriter for Citizen Kane. For me personally, if I'll go ahead and answer that for Mank, is the one I haven't seen. And it's because I was really going through like an anti-Netflix phase, and I was just kind of upset that Fincher's going all in on Netflix. So I was just like, no, put it in theaters.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Fincher is like one of those guys who's like, he like, I'm sure like he loves film, like filming on film, but he's not one of those directors that are like film or nothing, you know?
Right. He's very much been a digital guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, it's just a tool like anything else. I'll tell you a couple of Fincher movies that I do think are overrated.
Okay.
And come at me. Social Network.
Really?
Not a huge fan of.
Okay.
I just don't. I don't love watching movies about like sociopathic megalomaniacs that are like based on real people.
Especially ones that continue to be sociopathic and megalomaniacal.
And then I also am not a huge fan of Benjamin Button.
I have a special place for that one just because it is kind of a technical marvel.
Yeah.
And it was like immediately in the Criterion collection, like as soon as it came out.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think I've ever watched it like ever since then. So
it is every time we go to Zia, it is the most often used Criterion I see there, which means people are offloading it. You know?
Yeah, like, well,
quite a bit.
That was neat. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again though.
Yeah, it's just I don't. It's just not a very special movie to me. But like to redeem myself, I will say something I love that Fincher has done.
Okay.
Mindhunter, such a great show.
Yeah, that is a out of left field pick because it's TV.
Yeah, but doesn't feel like a show. Doesn't feel like a TV show. But then for Bong Joon Ho, I think I haven't seen Mother.
Ooh, I have Mother. It's good. It's really good.
I mean, I expect it to be good at this point. The dude can't miss. I watched Mickey 17 recently.
Yeah.
It's charming. It's charming. It also has Mark Ruffalo in it.
Right.
A Zodiac alum.
Yeah. I would put Mickey 17 as like the needs more attention to it, because when that came out, it really bummed me out because all the conversation around it was just like, there's no way this is going to make its money back. It's like, dude, what about like your experience of the movie? Is it charming? Is it funny? And I thought it was very charming and
Did
funny.
it make you feel something?
Yeah. I thought it was great. And it was the first of like a spate of like twins movies, but I think it got overshadowed like almost immediately by Sinners, which was great.
Yeah, Mickey 17 was great. Parasite is fantastic. I have not seen Okja.
That one I feel is a little...
That's also his Netflix movie.
Yeah.
We just have never seen their Netflix movies.
And I'm going to say it, a little overrated. Didn't really care for it that much. But it had my girl, Tilda Swinton in it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to love it. But it was just fine. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Bong Joon Ho is a bad movie at all. One I really want to see, though, is his first movie. I think it's called like Barking Dogs Never Bite.
I've never seen it.
Right before Memories of Murder. So like his second movie, Memories of Murder, really took off and propelled him into who he is today. Really.
Awesome. An element of them, a theme that you can kind of see in both of these movies is a theme of obsession.
Totally, completely. Yeah.
Both in the characters of the films and the filmmakers as well.
It's really hard to pinpoint like the cultural differences unless you have experienced them.
Right.
So I think we can like speak a little bit better to the Zodiac, like the Western culture of it. But as like an outsider, we can observe the cultural differences of Memories of Murder and kind of just comment on it and like how it's different than what we've come to expect in terms of like media, really. Because, again, it's not real life. It is based on a true story.
Right.
But through the artistic interpretation.
Memories of Murder is about a series of assaults and murders that took place in the Gyeonggi province in the 80s.
Yeah,
right.
I think the town is called Hwasong.
This is also, they're real murders that occurred, and it's the most notorious serial murder case in South Korean history. At the point that the movie came out, they had not caught the killer.
Right.
And he wasn't caught until fairly recently. I think 2019 is when he was caught on a whole other different murder that he committed. And then eventually they were able to link him to the others, and he admitted to it.
Yeah. I have some more background for that and everyone can read about this in the essay that comes in the Criterion Blu-ray. It's called In the Killing Jar by Ed Park. Yeah, and it details how in 2019, coincidentally, when Bong Joon Ho and company are doing like promotional tours for Parasite, because it's really like getting buzz, and this is before it got Best Picture. Lo and behold, this murder gets solved.
Right.
And it's like from modern DNA testing linked to this guy. And I'm not going to name him, but he was a guy in his mid-50s. He was currently in jail for a different crime that he did in the mid-90s, I believe. But then, he went up and confessed to all of the killings plus 5 more. And then like over 30 like sexual assaults too.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing. Zodiac is a guy who commits these horrible crimes and then brags about it and says, hey, publish my cryptic things where I'm going to, confess my name or else kind of thing. These crimes in South Korea, they really just spoke for themselves. By 2006, so this is 3 years after the film came out, they had investigated upwards of 20,000 people.
Damn.
Which is an incredible amount of people to like go nowhere. The only like arrest that happened was in 1989 for one of the killings.
That guy was convicted, right? And they thought it was a copycat killing.
Yes.
And then the real killer said, no, I did that one.
Yeah.
So they're having to give that guy a retrial.
Yeah. He was released like 20 years later on probation, and then had a retrial.
Yeah.
Where like the actual murderer was like, no, that was me.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
But I mean, 20,000 suspects, that's gotta say something about the kind of police work that was taking place, right? It feels like you're kind of taking a shot in the dark. Like you don't really know much. You're just kind of seeing you're casting a wide net. You're seeing who you can get.
Yeah. Kicking up every stone and see what's underneath.
Uh-huh.
And that's really like the thrust of the initial, first half of Memories of Murder, really, is we start with like, let's just go over like our central characters here. We start with our lead Detective Park. I love that actor who plays Detective Park. I will see every movie that he's in, and he plays the father in Parasite.
Yeah.
But we start with Detective Park. He's on the scene seeing this first body that's like hidden in a waterway next to a farm. And there's these kids there around him. And Guillermo del Toro, in like an interview about Bong Joon Ho and this film and how wonderful it is, he's like, that scene is a little boy speaking to another little boy, And I was like, damn.
No, that's a really good observation, because as you see throughout that first half of the movie is Detective Park, I think, is like a teenager's vision of what a cop is, like an American teenager's vision of what a cop is. And that kind of bleeds through into the general kind of vibe of, that local police force there, right? They're pulling in randos off the street just because they have a look about them.
Yeah.
You know,
It's vibes-based detectives. Yeah.
Yes. They're drop kicking people left and right.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about legs and feet and about how, their style of police work involves being on foot.
Being active.
Yeah. And not like so brainy and talking about the documents.
Yeah.
Like, you freaking nerd.
Evidence.
Yeah.
That's just a formality.
Yeah.
But Detective Park's whole thing, and like it's brilliant how Bong Joon Ho did it, like introduced this concept. But like he believes, through hubris, I guess, that like he can just look into a criminal's eyes and he can tell, right?
Right.
That theory blown immediately out the window when Detective Seo comes in.
Oh yeah.
Right. And that woman, she's on edge because there's a killer about, right? And there's this random guy
behind her.
She runs. Park pulls up and is like, "Hey, this guy's attacking this woman."
Yeah, leave her alone.
Drop kicks him, arrests him, and then Seo says, "No." Park says something about how like you fight like shit for a cop. Right. Mm-hmm. And then Seo like retorts back. And you have a hell of an eye for criminals. Right. So it's like his whole philosophy, I can just tell by looking at him.
Yeah.
He arrests a cop.
Yeah. So begins their tumultuous relationship.
Yeah. And speaking of legs and kind of being action oriented, there's a really great scene in the movie. It's the chase scene. Right. So the kind of setup is that the detectives kind of individually, they go to this crime scene because they think, well, Seo is like, I want to go to the crime scene and kind of get in the mind of the killer. Right?
Yeah.
And then
maybe he'll revisit it.
Yeah. And then Park goes to a psychic and the psychic gives him a ritual to perform. If they perform the ritual, it'll like somehow like reveal or draw the suspect to the crime scene. And
vibes-based detective.
That's what he's doing there.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, to highlight the differences between these two guys.
Yeah.
And they hear someone coming up. And it's a guy, and they're like, "Oh my God, the killer's here!" And he pulls undergarments and lays them out on the ground.
Ladies undergarments.
Yes, and then he pulls his pants down. And he's wearing these like red like panties, and he starts masturbating.
With a flashlight in his mouth.
With a flashlight,
so it's a little funny seeing the flashlight bobbling.
And then, they're getting ready to like take him down, but then Cho fucking steps on a fucking twig and snaps, and then it's on, and then he runs, and then they chase him. And it's a really it's like a really anticlimactic chase scene in a way, because they're chasing him through these like winding streets of this village. And I love the fact that all of these motherfuckers are constantly smoking throughout the movie because I can feel the burning in their lungs of them running to chase this guy down.
Yeah.
And then they one detective chases into this like courtyard where a family's cooking dinner, and where you would kind of expect them to go like, "He went that away."
Yeah.
They're just like,
they don't.
What the fuck? Yeah, they just ignore him basically.
Have you seen a guy running by here? No, just you. I'm good. I'm eating dinner.
And then it gets to the point where they're like, "Fuck, we lost him." And then you hear a dog barking in the background, and then Cho's like, "Wait," and then he hops up onto a wall, and then he kind of looks. There he is.
The music kicks in again. Yeah.
It's such a like heavy subject matter, but a very comedic highlight, to the scene. And it's made more ridiculous by the fact that the guy's wearing women's underwear, and then they chase him to this quarry, and they're like, "Fuck." They all look exactly like the guy. We don't know who it is. They're all in
masks.
uniform.
Yeah.
But then Park sees one guy bend over. And he sees the panty peek up of his pant line. And then he puts them in a row. And I always thought this was interesting because I think like Park knows it's the guy, but I think he's putting on a show.
He is.
Okay.
Yeah. He's going to be like, all right, line all these guys up. Like 6 guys I know I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
And then the guy wearing the panties.
Then he does the thing.
He's like,
It's like, it's this guy.
Yeah. And he gives his like second, like a little signal with like a head tilt or something. And the guy comes flying in from off camera to kick him.
Oh man, so good. So funny.
Yeah. I like that first scene where he lays out his philosophy to the like first sergeant, because the first sergeant is watching him at his desk, like eat lunch, but also look at all the suspects that they've gathered so far.
Yeah.
And he's like, how can you look at that while you're eating? He's like, it's in the eyes. I can tell. He's like looking at pictures that he took to be like, yep, they're still frame photos. That'll tell me who the killer is. That's the level of thinking we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, oh yeah. The sergeant is like, oh yeah, I get you. So let's use your theory, huh? You see this guy over here? We got a sexual assaulter and the victim's brother. Like,
Which is which?
Yeah. Who's who? Tell me right now. And he like kind of squares up, gives a little stare, and then we get a reverse shot of what he's seeing. And it's kind of like the film is telling us, all right, now you pick of these 2 guys. Which one's which one's the sexual assaulter, which one's the brother. And like mid thought, really, if you're really invested in that scene, mid thought, we get a smash cut to him having sex. It's such a jarring juxtaposition of trying to pick those guys, and then we get like a really humorous like sex scene where she's like, "Oh, I think it fell out."
Yeah, and that's all against this backdrop. You know, we get flashes of the kind of authoritarian regime that's in power in South Korea at the time. And it like I think that just kind of sets it up to kind of give you this sense that, you know, the police force itself, it's possessed by this kind of macho masculine you know, way of doing things where you're kind of imposing will rather than following the evidence and seeing where that takes you, you know?
Right. Yeah. Masculine methodologies. Really. And they're like, yes, ostensibly they're there to solve the crime, but they are also an instrument of the state to suppress like protests.
Yes.
Too. Gladly.
Yes.
Seemingly. His partner.
Joyously.
Yeah. His Park's partner, Cho, is like just kicking the shit out of this woman who's protesting. But then the same guy is supposed to be the one protecting women from getting murdered and sexually assaulted.
Yeah. And their form of police work just kind of involves finding people that they deem are kind of weirdos, right, and torturing them into confessions. They take them down into the boiler room of the police station, torture them, rehearse confessions until they get like the details that they want. And then, you know, down to the point of like, planting evidence in that first scene. It's the second murder. They find that woman in a rice paddy, and Park is like unable to control the crime scene. They've got press, they've got onlookers walking all over the crime scene. Yeah. It opens, he notices there's a footprint that could be a key piece of evidence. He just kind of picks up a stick and draws a circle around it.
Yeah.
And then spits.
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
No, yeah. He
marked
like
it.
he or maybe it's in the first scene, but there's a scene I noted where he like, you know how people spit? Some people are spitters.
With that little.
They'll just, you know, and he
That's
spits.
nothing.
It's like you're getting your DNA all over the crime scene, my guy.
Right.
You know? They're smoking cigarettes through the crime scene. He's unable to control it. Guys are falling down hills. A tractor comes by down the road, runs over the footprint he just circled.
Total chaos. And then they're like, their glass half full like mentality is like, oh, that fucking reporter isn't over here, is he? Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they pull in this kid who is cognitively disabled and who like obviously couldn't commit this crime, but because he's weird, they pull him in. He's an easy target, and they know that like they can coerce a confession out of him. He takes his fucking shoes, goes down to the crime scene, and smashes his shoe into where the footprint was.
Yeah,
right.
With the new like detective.
Yeah,
CO is in the car. He just pulls over and says, "Hey, I got something to do." Plant, take a picture, and then gets the pictures developed.
Yeah,
and then they're just kind of waiting in the interrogation room until someone on the force brings the developed pictures, and he's like, "Explain this."
Yeah,
to the kid, like, "We found your shoe. Looks pretty similar, right? Don't mind that smudge there." That first scene, I want to contrast it with the other methodology, which is from Seo, our detective from the city. Really, it's kind of like a city mentality versus a country boy. Mentality, really.
Like you fucking country bumpkins, you know?
And once he's introduced, outside of that initial jab of, well, you're not very good at, like, being able to deduce who a criminal is.
Yeah.
Outside of that initial jab, he's really in the background for every other scene until...
He's smugly watching him, you know?
Yeah. He's sitting back, letting him embarrass himself.
Yes.
Really. And then like the biggest embarrassment comes when they try to recreate the crime with this like handicapped like suspect that they have. And Seo notices, "Hey, let me see your hands," when they're bringing him into the car, and he's got like webbed hands. So he's like, there's no way he could have committed this crime because he can't use his hands in that manner. He's like, "Okay, go ahead."
Yeah, he couldn't have tied the knots
right
that were necessary,
or strangled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and just like lets it go. Like, carry on with your like little charade, and then like that charade gets interrupted. It's very embarrassing. It's in front of the public. The press is there. It's all over the papers, and I think we cut to like the next year, and it's very subtly indicated that it's the next year by a newspaper saying like the investigation has been reshuffled. And then we get a new sergeant.
Yeah.
And then that's really the first time that So speaks up. I have a theory. I think these murders are being committed on like rainy days. And the sergeant's kind of like, "Okay, what do you guys think?" to like the local cops. And they're like, "Any commonalities with the suspect?" Like, "They were single." There's like a really funny part where they're going over like this evidence on this like giant pieces of paper, and Park's like, "And on the 12th and the 16th."
The 16th, really?
Really? Oh, December 16th. He's like learning about the evidence as it's going on. As he's presenting it.
And the chief is just kind of looking on like, "God, fucking help us."
He's like, "What a fucking asshole." And he even like looks away down at the papers, and he sees these embarrassing photos of the recreation gone wrong, and then immediately pans over to their like celebration on the stairs, being like, "We got him," you know? And he's like, "Oh, that's who I'm dealing with here."
Exactly.
And he's like, he goes, "Oh, okay. Yeah, there was semen discovered to his partner." And his partner is like, "Oh, yeah. He's like almost falling asleep during this presentation. But then, So really like takes control with his theory about the rain.
Yeah.
And the sergeant like says, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's find him." Lo and behold, they find another suspect. But then at the crime scene, like, after that scene's over, after they find him, so like people are starting to gather around now, and So comes in with like a megaphone and is like, "Hey, like let's control the scene here. Don't touch that. That's evidence." And you like the way the people react to him, like the locals, they react like they've never had this happen before. They're like, "Well, what do you mean I can't just walk up and interrupt the crime scene?" But he's coming in with authority and a method versus, "Oh no, the tractor ran over my footprint. Oh no, these other guys are slipping and falling down the hill over here," or I'm spitting to mark a footprint. You really see the differences between those two guys in that moment.
So he says, "Documents don't lie."
Yeah.
That tells you a lot about his methodology, right? He's based in evidence and following the trail where it goes, rather than making an assumption and then following that, right?
Right.
This is a movie about kind of like an inward obsession, right? Where either of these two cops are really they're less so trying to solve the case and more so trying to prove that they're right. You know, they're trying to prove their own theories.
Right.
You know, it's about they want to be right rather than get it right. You know what I mean? And you know, like they don't catch the criminal. You know, even CO in his methodologies, they run down trails that lead nowhere, you know, and meanwhile women are still being brutalized and murdered out there, and it's kind of driving these guys crazy that
Right.
the logic that their outlooks on police work aren't producing any fucking results. That is what is driving them crazy, not the fact that they can't catch the guy, you know. And it all kind of comes to a head when CO, he interviews a woman who actually survived, and she says, you know, he had soft hands, you know.
Yeah.
And then when they follow up on so not only do the murders occur on rainy nights, but one of the women detectives,
I'm glad you said that,
pointed out that on all of the rainy nights in which murders occurred, a specific song was requested. In that scene, she presents her idea.
Yeah.
And Park kind of like laughs it off.
He's an asshole.
Yeah. He's like, you read too many detective novels. Then he hands her his coffee cup to refill.
Exactly. And right before that too, kind of like you as an American might not understand why this is insulting, but he speaks English to her.
Good idea.
Yeah. He's like, nice, good idea.
Yeah.
And gives her a thumbs up. And he's like, anyways, wash my fucking cup.
Yeah. Very condescending.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be a key piece of evidence.
Yeah.
And they follow that to a suspect that seems to fit the profile. He's a loner. He served in the military. He has soft hands.
Yeah.
And he is the one who has been requesting that these songs happen on those nights.
Right. I think that marks a really chilling turning point in the movie tonally.
Yeah.
Like it's already kind of ridden that line between like dark comedy, true crime. This one really becomes unsettling after that moment, because now they've got a really like true lead with this guy, and all three detectives and the chief are in the interrogation room now. And it leads to like my favorite shot of like a side profile of all four of them. And with So being like the closest to right of frame and like closest to the light, staring down this suspect.
Yeah.
And it's chilling how calm the suspect is.
Presented in a way that would make even the audience go, it's this motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
Ironically, it's So's methodology that brought him in, right? But then just as you as a human viewer kind of resort to Park's methodology, where you look at him and you go, that's the fucking guy.
Yeah. Give me a booty.
Yeah.
Give me a booty to put on my shoe right now. I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy.
And then it all comes to a head in this amazing sequence where So he's just not getting anything out of this guy. And he's convinced it's him. And they've sent off DNA samples to see if they can match them.
Yeah. So this is sometime later. They've had to let him go.
And they're still waiting on those documents, but it's raining, and CO's he's been driven to the edge, and so he takes the suspect to the train tracks, and he puts his head down on the tracks, and he puts a gun on him, and he says, "Tell me it's you. Tell me it's you. I want to see you. Tell me that it's you."
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the documents get delivered, and Park has them. You know? And he's running, and he knows that CO has the guy.
Yeah. It's fascinating because their roles have essentially flipped.
Yeah.
So is the guy roughing up the suspect, and Park's running in here going, I got the documents.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You know, I got the evidence. You're the evidence guy, right?
Yeah. And the suspect, you know, whatever is going on with him psychologically, he won't deny it. He won't admit to it. My interpretation is he is kind of a stand-in for the South Korean people.
Yes. Yes.
Because he's like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah. You're just going to beat the confession out of me like
Yeah.
you always do. Like it's the biggest like open secret is that these cops are just fascists.
Yes.
Beating the shit out of everyone to try to get some semblance of order.
Right. And so, you know, like I don't think, I mean, he turned out not to be the suspect, but like he doesn't want to give them the satisfaction.
No.
Because he knows that they're a bunch of fucking pigs.
So this scene that kind of makes me cry just how emotionally powerful it is Park hands Seo the documents because they were sent off to America. So they come in English and the sole detective is the only one who can read English,
Right.
really. He's like, here, take a look at the documents. I'll hold him here. I'll give him my look over.
Yeah.
I'll get it out of him. Like I'll figure out the answer too. And while So is reading these documents and we get little flashes of it, and we can kind of read like the test results are inconclusive, like, oh no. And we see it breaking over So's face, like that the documents never lie.
Yeah.
Right. But he knows, he believes so strongly that this is the guy.
Yeah.
And Park has him and he's just like, well, what does it say? And he's like, it's not our guy. And he like looks at him.
He says, this document is a lie.
Oh, this document is a lie.
He says it, dude. He says this document is a lie. And that's why I love the scene so much, because this is the scene, and I think you're going to get to Park's side of it. But this is the scene where their philosophies, their outlooks, their whole kind of, you know, way of looking at how they do their jobs falls apart for both of them.
He's like, it's a lie. He's like, oh no, it's not our guy. But let me look at him. And then we see like the mask that the suspect was wearing of the tough guy, like, oh, you're just going to beat the shit out of me. We see that slip and we see him start to like be afraid, be terrified and shrink up. And Park's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell. And it's just, that's like the realest moment of this movie of like, you know, they have their methods and a lot of them are very questionable, but in that moment they really wanted the truth. And the truth is so elusive, and you can't like put it on paper. You can't narrow it down to a look. It has to be something else, something so intangible. And it's such a powerful moment in that movie.
No, yeah. And you know, the irony is that in their so-called search for the truth, which is really just a way to prove that either of their methodologies works, they do find a truth. And the truth is that it's not the guy, but it doesn't prove either one of them correct. Yeah. And that's what fucking breaks them. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Very well put. Yeah. We got to talk about the ending. The very end of this movie.
Yeah. So after that scene, the movie basically flash forwards to
2003.
Which 2003.
Is present day.
And we don't get to see what became of Seo. We're with Park, who we started the movie with, right?
Right.
And he's just kind of living this kind of suburban life now. He's no longer a cop. He has a family. And they're sitting at the breakfast table. And, you know, he's like, you stayed up all night playing video games, didn't you?
Yeah.
He's like, look at me.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, in a way, it's like a lot has changed, but not much has changed.
Yes.
Really.
And so then he's in the back of this van. He's got a bunch of like appliances that he sells, and he's talking with his manager.
Business. Yeah. I'll see you at the business meeting.
Very obviously has moved on from police work, you know. And then he gets off the phone and he says, "Hey, pull off the road here." And he walks and he walks over to the irrigation ditch where they found the first body. Yeah. He looks in and he sees nothing's there. And then this time a little girl comes up to him and she basically says, there there was another man who I saw looking in that same hole. And he's like, what did he look like? And she says, he just looked plain, like ordinary.
Yeah. Plain how? Ordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I forget the series of questions, but I think he's like, how long ago did this happen? And she said, so her answer was like very recently,
Yeah. I think the when came first, because then it's, well, what did he look like?
Right.
Plain, ordinary. And then the final shot.
And then he kind of looks off and he looks straight into the camera,
Yeah.
And for all of this time that he has said, I can tell who the killer is with a single look. He's looking into the camera, and to me, it's almost a pleading look rather than I see you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, please show yourself,
Yeah. It's a pleading look.
Yeah, very much.
And it's right at the camera. So like I always read that final shot as like the killer's still out there, and in a way I could be looking at him
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought, oh dude, that sent chills down it still sends chills down my spine when I see
And
that.
the like mind-blowing thing is the killer did see the movie.
Yeah. And he, in his own words, quote, I felt nothing. Again, this is the killer speaking. When I watched that movie, the actions that were committed and like my relation to them, they didn't exist.
He said something along the lines of like they didn't even occur to me at all.
Yeah.
Didn't cross my mind. Disassociated. Which itself is kind of just like another emotional blow of this movie, because you as an audience member, you want some sort of conclusion, like if not a plot conclusion, an emotional conclusion, and then that even is further denied in real life, that the killer is just like, it meant nothing to me, what I saw in the movie.
Yeah. And then another thing you might want, or at least Bong Joon Ho said he wanted in an interview after it was revealed that the killer was caught. He said that at the time of making the movie, he would have probably wanted to ask the killer like questions, and not like the way a policeman would ask questions, like, why'd you do it? How'd you do it? He would want to know like what that person's life was like.
Right.
He's like, as an artist, I would want to know who they were as a person. He's like, but now, not so much. I've changed, and I'm kind of glad I didn't have that. But I'm still like proud of the movie, even knowing like who the killer is. It's still very powerful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a remarkable piece of filmmaking. A great kind of auteur procedural. Shows you how these different kind of methodologies kind of play out, and how they ultimately failed, really, So Zodiac, I mean, it's there in the title, right? It's about the Zodiac murders, which took place in the late 60s, early 70s in San Francisco. And the movie itself kind of centers around the media circus, really, that the Zodiac killer ignited. They were not able to catch him eventually, and I think that idea of a killer out there and the police being utterly unable to apprehend a plausible suspect, and then mix in the fact that he's like sending these codes and ciphers, and having the newspapers publish them,
But like out of an obligation, because he's threatening, like,
right,
I'm going to kill more if you don't. So it's kind of a hands behind your back. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Not publish it and hope he doesn't do what he says.
Mm-hmm. But to Robert Downey Jr.'s character's point in the movie, it is good business,
Yeah. Sells more papers.
And that's probably really what kind of kept the buzz around Zodiac going for so long, is because it was good business. It did attract a lot of readers, you know, and so I think the movie goes through a lot of pains to show the side. Okay, the newspapers, you know, on some level are probably trying to do a public good, but also it was a very profitable venture for you know, everyone involved.
Exactly. Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars, by the way. Banger.
4 out of 4.
4 out of 4.
Because he doesn't do 5.
He doesn't do 5. He loved it, and he said it was kind of like a combination of a police procedural and a newspaper movie. He's like, it's the All the President's Men of murder movies.
I like that. Yeah.
I like the way Ebert like describes things sometimes, and I will say, he's not a huge David Fincher fan too. So that's like another like flowers to give this movie is Roger Ebert was not sold on Fincher being like this auteur out the gate with Alien 3 and Fight Club. He's like, some loved Fight Club. I did not. I think he gave it like 1.5 stars or whatever. He shouts out the casting director and he says, like the only eyewitness in the case, we remember a face once we've seen it.
Okay.
Just commenting how like good the casting is. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it's great. The cast is stacked
Completely.
and this is like pre-Iron Man Robert Downey
By
right?
a year.
By a year.
This is it all went downhill after this. No, just really I do miss these kinds of like adult movies with a bunch of great actors in it that we seem to like we can't do it anymore. We can only hire like 2 or 3 big name actors, really.
Yeah, or at least, you know, and not have them be big tentpole movies.
Yeah.
But you know, you are kind of de facto main character. I think the character that the movie's kind of perspective is shot from is Robert Graysmith, played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mm-hmm. Based on his book. Robert Graysmith's book.
Yes. So he plays the real guy. They actually had Robert Graysmith consult on the movie, and
which is really cool.
What I think is really cool is they pulled in as many of the people who were still alive, who were involved in the case, as possible.
Yeah.
To advise, really. Dave Toschi was still alive.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
He said, you know, Ruffalo captured him precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Avery, who Robert Downey Jr.'s character played, had died.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is they actually talked to people who knew Paul Avery in real life, and they were like, "You fucking got him."
Yeah.
got him.
The screenwriter was like, I really hoped we nailed it while we were making it, because that was like the one thing that was still kind of nagging him. Like, I really hope we get this right. And he was like, yeah. Friends and family were like, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him. All right. So Toschi, right? Is that you say Toschi? I really like the little behind the scenes thing you see in like the making of for this movie, is that he brings a box of animal crackers to the set to try to get Ruffalo to sign it. And Ruffalo's like, what? You brought me some animal crackers? What's this? That's awesome. Which really makes his, I don't know if you saw this, but when Toschi passed away in real life, Mark Ruffalo made like a post on Instagram about it. It was very touching. But I wanted to shout out this like insane comment under that post, because it's him like being like, he meant a lot to me. It was great working with him and yada yada.
Yeah.
But then the comment says, R.I.P. Dave Toschi. I recently watched Zodiac and it was amazing. I watched it for Robert Downey Jr., but Mark's character was more amazing and interesting. Although Robert was great too. These kinds of people should not have the internet, in my opinion. That's so.
Well, I mean,
such an
if you're
odd
asking
thing.
me about my opinion, Robert Downey Jr. was great and amazing.
Yeah. Hey, Mark Ruffalo's post about this guy's death and how touching it was to work with him.
Yeah.
Have you thought about how Robert Downey Jr.'s performance was pretty amazing?
But, you know, I think that casting really highlights something that's a part of kind of like the David Fincher mythos at this point is like his insane attention to detail.
Completely.
It's down to everything. It's down to the casting, making sure that the actors can talk to the real people whose skin they're living in. It's down to, you know, I saw something about the production design and how they. This is gonna blow your mind a little bit if you didn't also watch.
Is it the Lake Berryessa thing?
No.
Okay.
But that's coming up.
Cool.
They took the day that was supposed to be the day that the scene is set on, right?
Right.
And they found the newspapers. They found the microfilm of
Yeah.
the newspapers for that day and had the whole newspaper reprinted out. They didn't have just like that stock newspaper you see in like every movie. They recreated the newspaper for that day.
Yeah, and reprinted it.
That you like, if you do see it on screen, it's for a flash, you know. But that's the kind of filmmaker David Fincher is. He's just like, everything on screen matters. Or else, what are we doing here?
Right.
You know?
And if some people are like, well, that doesn't matter that much. Sorry, you're in the wrong profession then.
Right. And I think that's so appropriate when you're making a movie based off of a book that is basically a recounting of real events.
Right.
You know? I don't think, you know, of course, David Fincher does movie stuff and kind of heightens reality a little bit and manipulates your emotions as a viewer and all that fun stuff. But like, I think he really was committed to recreating a time and a place and the people in that time and place. And I think that's you know, if you're going to make a movie about this kind of thing, it's a really respectful thing to do.
Yeah, it really shows his passion and his attention to detail, really. The Lake Berryessa thing, though.
Oh yeah,
talk about that.
So, you know, in the film and in real life, there's a murder that takes place at Lake Berryessa. A couple is picnicking there, and Zodiac comes up and he puts them at gunpoint, ties them up, and stabs them to death. The guy survives. The wife does not. But when they were location scouting that scene, they had the actual detective who had investigated this murder take them and show them the exact spot that it happened. And, you know, it from like what, 67 to 2007, it's 40 years.
Lots changed.
A lot has changed, right? And so you can't really expect it to look exactly the same. But David Fincher,
he's built different. He's literally built different.
As the detective is walking them through the murder and everything, David Fincher just kind of like, he's like walking around, listening to the sounds, listening to the traffic, touching the ground, people were saying, and they're
seemingly not listening.
Yeah. And they're just like, what the fuck is he doing? And David Fincher comes up and he's like, I don't think the murder happened over here. I think it happened over there.
Yeah. Not to be rude, but this isn't the spot.
Yeah. And the detective's like, oh my God, you're right.
I thought that was wild. I was like, he just could feel the ground like some Sherlock Holmes shit. It was just like, first of all, it didn't happen here, and he was also eating Wendy's when it happened.
I'm sure he like had read so many books about it, and you know he had a detail in his head that he remembered, and he was just like, "Your story's not matching up, Chief."
Yeah. Yeah. So then, yeah, they find the right spot, but it's still not quite right.
Yeah.
So what do? They fly in trees. Helicopters bring in fully grown trees and they cement them into place. And then some other guys bring in like weeds, and we see them like hammering in weeds into the dirt and being like, well, we've got like several hundreds more to go to fill up this island to make it look as close to that recounting of the actual event.
Yeah.
Because like you said, one of the victims survived. And it's a very unsettling scene because it almost is like there's a little bit of absurdity to it, like the way Zodiac looks with his like black hood, and it's like his eye slits are like cut out to have like sunglasses in there so you can't quite see his eyes, and then he's got the Zodiac symbol, like the circle with the crosshair in it, and he comes up with a gun, but he's also got a knife, and then he's got like these zip like ropes or whatever to tie their hands, and he's like, I only want your money and like your car, really. And it's so weird because like he's approaching, and the woman sees him.
She's like, there's a guy over there.
And he's like, what's up with that? And the guy's like, yeah, don't worry about it, it's a public park. And she's like, no. He's like, no, wait. Okay, I guess he's not there. He's like, I guess he went behind the tree or something. He's like, probably taking a leak, you know? But then
she's like, he has a gun.
Yeah. Oh my God, he has a gun. Gets up. And then, then it stops being like kind of funny from there. Then it's deadly serious.
There's something to the way that these murder scenes are shot. And I know that David Fincher didn't really want to direct them like they were horror film death scenes, you know?
Right. And the writer, James Vanderbilt, didn't want that to come off either, because he was a huge like follower of the events, and lucked out in getting Fincher to take the job. So they were both on the same page in that regard.
Because David Fincher had done Seven, right? And so everyone was like, he's the murder movie guy, I guess, you know? Like that scene in particular, I think is the most kind of like spine chilling scene, because it is so firmly kind of planted in the moment, you know? If you think about the sound design in that scene, it's you just hear the sounds of nature, you know? And that in itself, I think, is very isolating.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel as isolated and helpless and far away from anyone who could help you in the situation as the real people were, you know?
Yeah. And the guy kind of has like pathetic like pleas of like, oh, here's my wallet. I could write you a check too. Do you want my phone number? Do you want to keep in touch? He's thinking of any way to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
Which you would probably do in that situation too. It seems pathetic as a viewer, but like you're like, I'd do that too. I'd probably piss my pants.
Guy's got a gun on you.
Yeah.
What do you got?
But the Zodiac is not like framed as like this omnipresent evil entity. He's just a guy with a gun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the scariest thing about it, is just any guy with a gun can do this.
And there's nothing you can do, you know? If you try to fight back, he'll kill you. Maybe you try to placate him a little bit. Maybe there's a chance he'll let you go. Maybe there's a chance he only does want my car keys and everything. And you as the viewer are kind of thinking that too the whole time. You're like, maybe, just maybe, there is a chance they can get out of this. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance I could get out of this. And it's all dashed when he just almost casually starts stabbing them, you know?
There's no preamble. It just happens.
It's not dramatic. And there's nothing they can do about it. And that's what affects me so much, is that you think that being stabbed is this dramatic act, but it's just a blade going into meat, you know? And they're hogtied basically. And all they can do is roll around and feel it.
Yeah.
And that fucking sucks. That is so scary to me, that like something so horrible can happen to you and there's nothing you can do to fight it, you know?
Yeah. The way the Lake Berryessa murder plays out is really something that, again, Roger Ebert points to, is like what makes Zodiac authentic is the way it avoids chases, shootouts, grandstanding, and false climaxes.
Yeah.
It just follows the methodical progress of police work.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about this very briefly, that it's kind of a conversation. The movie itself is a conversation between the police work side of things and the like sensationalist, like media frenzy ness of it all. So then the beginning of the movie is kind of those two things. They're being handed off from scene to scene. Seems to be like following Toschi and his partner, and then following Avery really, and Graysmith a little bit in the background, because he's kind of intrigued with this whole cipher and code. And he's like, I like puzzles. I like reading.
Yeah.
Avery, when he's like in the bar, when he finally like decides to buddy up with Graysmith, he's like, so you got any family? He's like, I've got 2 kids, divorced. He's like, cool. What are your hobbies? What do you like doing? I like books and I like to read. That's the same thing. Those are the same things. From there, it really, Graysmith becomes like a more active, like participant in the story.
Mm-hmm. Because like Avery says it. He's like, everyone's, got money to make off of this except you. What's your beef? You know?
And he's like, what's your business?
Yes.
And he's like, can you explain business? He's in it for the intrigue.
Yeah.
Really.
He's not a cop. He's not even a journalist, really. He's a cartoonist.
Yeah.
He's there to make satire cartoons,
Yeah, I don't know who said it, so I can't give proper credit, but someone did point out that in a way, Graysmith is kind of the most like Zodiac in the way that they play with like imagery and like social commentary through images, because he is a cartoonist and he's trying to convey like political messages through their cartoons, and Zodiac is trying to use these like symbols to reach out to people to like explain himself or push a message, which is, I kill these people and I'm going to do it again and I'm going to brag about it, and you're going to put it in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like they're using their superpowers in different ways.
Yeah. One is for evil, one is for good. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that does beg the question, like, what is your business? You said he's in it for the intrigue, right? I think that goes back to, it's a movie about obsession. Like, he does become obsessed with not even providing justice for the victims. He wants to find out who Zodiac is. Not because he wants the credit necessarily. That's not telegraphed in the film. He just wants to solve a puzzle,
Yeah. What is his like exact phrasing for what he wants? It's something like, I just want to be able to look him in the eye and know. Which kind of relates to Memories of Murder, right? Of being able to see evil face to face, really.
What's sad about all this is, where in Memories of Murder, you kind of are treated to like, here's everything like wrong that the police could do, and no wonder they never caught anyone. But in Zodiac, it's like they're doing everything the right way,
by the book,
right?
Yeah.
It even goes through the process of showing you how like hard it is to even obtain like a search warrant.
Yeah.
They had to gather all of these things. Boom, boom, boom. Like there was a witness that said that he came home with bloody knives. He has family that say he was being weird about something. He somehow knew one of the victims. All these things, right? And they had to line up all of these pieces of evidence just to have a judge say, yeah, you can search his house, after they had already interviewed him.
Yeah. And then on top of all that like you said, all that information they had to intake, there's a bunch of like bullshit tips that come in too all the time. People being like, no, I'm the Zodiac. I shot them all.
Yeah.
Like, well, he didn't always use a gun.
I strangled them.
I strangled them.
Yeah.
Like, well, no. Like, I mean, I shot them. I used a knife. And then there's like kind of like conflicting reports, like the cabbie murder, right? Like when it initially went out, they said it was a black man that did it. And even Toschi like calls that out. He's like, hold on. You're telling me like a white guy did that? Because like when we got the call, it was a black man. Like, yeah, no, we corrected that now. It's like, okay.
they had kind of basically like admitted like we maybe like saw this guy, and Tosky's like he would have been covered in blood, and they were just like we weren't looking for a white guy, we were looking for a black guy.
Mm-hmm. So that is like the like small little touch on like how memory and recollection can be faulty,
right?
And how they have to deal with that too.
In this whole case is just a flurry of information. You know, it's hard enough to solve a quote unquote low key murder, right? But you have such a public interest in the case. You have the press literally publishing pieces of evidence.
Right. Because if they don't, they run the risk of being at fault.
Right. And then add to it the fact that the movie goes through great pains to highlight this difficulty is the murders took place in like 3 different jurisdictions.
Yeah. And yeah, they're all kind of siloed off, like with their own witness accounts. And they're like, oh, I didn't mention that because it didn't feel relevant.
Yes.
It's up to them whether they decide to pass along information.
Yeah, exactly. A piece that like out of context means nothing, but paired with a piece over here in San Francisco means everything.
Right.
And then, there's that scene where he's like, all right, well, I'll telefax you what I have. He's like, oh, we don't have telefax. Like they're dealing
I'll send
with
it
a
in
lot
the mail. Yeah.
They're dealing with a lot of obstacles to just share information, and up to the point that like, I think in one of the special features, Mark Ruffalo had said something about like a piece of evidence because they were given, or maybe it was a screenwriter, someone in the production mentioned to Tosky like a detail, and then and Tosky was like, I didn't know that. 40 years later, still was a piece of information he didn't have. So it's really no wonder why they weren't able to ultimately get a conviction.
Real quick, one other piece of information that comes along that I thought was like, oh, wow, that's a direct line to Memories of Murder is Tosky is asking these kids who called in the cab murder. He's like, all right, now, what did he look like? You said he saw him. Their actual response is normal.
Yeah.
Plain, ordinary. It's like, dude, this is a Sisyphean task, dude. Like this is not going to go down the way you think. It's not going to be as easy as you think. Just because there are tons of clues doesn't mean they all point
right
in the same direction. And even when you think they do, because like the movie doesn't make a definitive statement, but it does point you in the direction that Graysmith and Tosky both kind of agreed on is the most likely suspect.
Right.
Which is Arthur Lee Allen.
Yes. At a certain point, the trail goes cold and the murders essentially stop, right? And so there's really nothing to kind of keep the investigation going. There's nothing really to keep it sustained. The lead investigator in San Francisco, Tosky, gets reassigned. Another cop in the other jurisdiction retires, and so you can kind of understand why, at an official level, not that they gave up, but like it just like there was nothing there to keep it going.
Right.
There are more murders happening. There are more crimes happening that they have to get to. And so Graysmith takes up that mantle, because he's so obsessed and he wants to find out, and he starts putting as many pieces together as he can. He's got his fucking kids doing research for him. He's running.
Don't tell mom.
Yeah. He's running up and down and all across between, what was it? Riverside, San Francisco, Vallejo. And he's begging them to have access to their records. He can't make any copies or write anything down, so he's got to fucking remember it.
No pens or pencils, and he does go into it, and they just pull the pencils out of his pocket.
Where the investigation was difficult for the police. It's doubly difficult for this guy who's basically nobody, and he has to kind of follow these breadcrumbs. And eventually it starts snowballing and he's putting things together and he figures out who a prime suspect was. And he is the one who is finding these small details that weren't worth mentioning. But because he's looking at everything, he's looking at the whole picture, he's like, this is key, this is key, this is key. The Arthur Lee Allen lived 30 yards from where the first victim worked. Mm-hmm. Like, isn't that something? And so they could not get a conviction. They couldn't come up with enough evidence for justice to be served. However, the obsession that fueled Graysmith led him to one conclusion. And what did he want? What did he say he wanted?
To look him in the eye.
Yes. So towards the end of the film, he drives over to where I don't know what town it was, but he drives out and he walks into an Ace Hardware and he walks to the back of the store. Arthur Lee Allen's there. He senses someone's looking at him. He turns around, puts on a friendly face, customer service face. No words are shared. Graysmith just looks at him. And he's like, I know it's you. And then Arthur Lee Allen, his face shifts. And he's like, okay, so you know it's me.
Yeah. My favorite detail is that his name tag is Lee instead of Leigh, which is how he was spelling it before. Mm-hmm. So he's even like shed a new identity, or he shed his old identity and taken up a new one. But yeah, I think if they say anything, it's like hey, can I help you? But then that look they share is, so you know.
Right.
And now what?
It's amazing that both of these movies kind of end with a look.
Right.
In Memories of Murder, it's a pleading look. He's trying to look into the eyes of the killer if he's out there watching. In Zodiac, it's like, and what?
Yeah. What do your documents tell you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Think that's going to hold up?
You see me.
It is just kind of like you breathe a sigh and you're like, well, I set out what I meant to do, which was looking in the eye. But I don't think that obsession goes away once you have that. Even though Graysmith told himself, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Just because you do that doesn't mean, I'm no longer concerned about it anymore. There's still going to be that nagging what if. As a final note to leave you all with, these movies are kind of about obsession made by obsessives, yeah,
filmmakers,
yeah, very very dedicated, finely crafted works of art.
Yeah,
that's why we're still talking about them, even though they're from the early 2000s and they're like old movies now or whatever. But like, they don't make them like this anymore.
They really don't.
They don't have the level of attention to detail and craft and emotion, and both like have unresolved conclusions. Really, that's a hard sell. That's a hard sell for a world that wants definitive answers to things. Like, kind of now more than ever is we want answers. We want to make sense of the world, and these movies definitively say the world doesn't make sense.
The world doesn't owe you an answer, you know?
Right. But that's kind of my reading of these two movies is, you want to make sense of the world. It doesn't, but these are still great movies and I think you should watch them. Well, what would you say? What would you leave our...
Yeah. To quote one of the characters, I think Shorty says it in Zodiac. Yeah. They're talking about how they're on a phone call with Zodiac and he's talking about how he kills to get rid of these headaches that he has.
Oh yeah, that scene was chilling too with Brian Cox.
Yeah. And Shorty is watching it. He's in the he's on the floor at the newspaper
behind Avery,
and he's watching it on the TV, and he just goes, "That is fucked up."
Yeah, that's the layman's.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of at the end of the day why we watch something like this. It's fucked up, you know, and that's what draws you in, and that's the real things that have happened, and you, while you may want a conclusion, you're kind of confronted with the fucked up reality of life.
Yeah, like you want a call to action, but it presents you with ambiguity.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
So, you know, it's a mark of a great filmmaker to hold a mirror up to life and go, look at it.
I agree. I totally agree.
So yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for dropping by and listening to our episode about Auteur Procedurals. Go watch these movies. They're fantastic. You will not be disappointed.
We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you.